Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.
Well, with St. Patrick's Day now just a little over 2 weeks away, attention will soon turn to the famous parade in Dublin. But beyond the sea of green and the creative depictions of the banishment of snakes is a festival which is seeking to grow year on year. The CEO of the St. Patrick's Festival, Richard Tierney, has decades of experience in the music promotion and communication space, and he joins us now to tell us about the commercial strategies which keep the festival floating. Richard, as I alluded to, your background has spanned marketing strategies, music promotion and brokering naming deals for the Tree Arena and the Borgash Theatre.
Hi, Carl. Thanks a million. Yeah, I've been around a while. Set up my own marketing agency called Marketing Network, where actually one of my clients were Aiken Promotions. And then in 97, I got an opportunity to leave the agency and join Aiken Promotions full-time, helping them with the marketing and event side. And then in 2001, I set up my own business called M10 Communications, which specialized in developing commercial activity for concert promoters and music venues. Probably the highlights, as you mentioned, were the Borgash Energy Theatre and Tree Arena naming right deals, which were pioneering deals for the music industry at the time. So, yeah, so it's great.
So talk to us about the type of deals that you would have brokered for both the Tree Arena and the Borgash Energy Theatre.
Well, probably the most high profile of all the deals with the naming right deals was selling the names. The Old Point Depot was at a juncture of where it needed major development, but it was only going to get major development if we could raise the money through sponsorship. So we took on a very ambitious plan to sell the first naming right in the music industry in Ireland. Every brand we went into, though we were mad, we'd never sell it, but thankfully O2 saw the benefit. And then a couple of years later, when the Grand Canal Theatre was built, they was obviously very eager to sell the name from a revenue perspective. And a very unlikely naming right partner, but turned into be an amazing naming right partner with Borgash Energy. So, yeah, there were probably two highlights. Again, within the Tree Arena, would have been a full portfolio of selling pouring right deals, so everything from the beer deals, spirit deals, confectionery deals, snack food deals with a car partner in Audi. So I would have had an ambitious target every year to generate revenue for the arena, and same with Borgash. So they were the type of deals, but probably naming right being the most high profile of all of those.
You decided to take on the role of CEO of the St. Patrick's Festival. What appealed to you about this particular role?
It was post-COVID. My own business, like any business in the consultancy world, in the entertainment business, had taken a sharp dive after COVID, and I was looking for a major change. What appealed to me was the National Day. It was the single biggest festival in the country. Probably the single biggest investment from state bodies in any one particular event. It's also the kick-off to the tourism season, so it's huge. I think that's what really appealed to me, and was going to test all my skills from everything I learned commercially, marketing-wise. Obviously, stepping up into a CEO role was really interesting. So, to be honest with you, very lucky, actually, that it came along, and been thankfully here ever since.
So talk to us about the size and scale of the festival today and the contribution which it makes to the local economy.
So it's, while there's now St. Patrick's festivals and St. Patrick parades, St. Days parade all over the country, this is probably the principal flagship event due to the fact that we get 500,000. So like 500,000 people come to the streets of Dublin, line the streets of Dublin, the parade route to watch it. We then have, when it passes at 12:30, over O'Connell Bridge, with the evolution of streaming, we have over 1 billion eyeballs globally. It's also kick off the tourist season. So it's really the first event that signals Ireland's open. So it's really important that we, present Ireland in the really positive light that we try and achieve every year. In terms of numbers, last year's economic impact was 115 million economic impact over the 2-day festival. This year's a 3-day festival, and returning to 28 million to the Exchequer. So it's significant. There's a couple of events, probably less than a handful of events that would have that significant contribution. So it's I try not to sort of labour the point often and put the team under pressure, but the world's eyes are on us.
And what is the biggest challenge with the festival itself?
Probably a number of challenges. Obviously, like any, with rising costs in the current environment, generating revenue for the festival is always a challenge. We're really lucky we're roughly 2/3 funded by the state, and we have to go find a third ourselves. we're really lucky that we've got incredible relationships with Falls Ireland and the Department of Tourism and Culture and Dublin City Council. So, they provide, but, we can't take anything for granted every year. We have to go every year, present our case. We're fighting, against many other organizations for funding and share of that overall budget. And so, that's probably it's one of the biggest challenges. Our relationship and our stakeholder management is good now. So it's probably a huge challenge when I got there first. It's still a challenge, but probably less of a challenge.
And Richard, on the topic of funding, I know that one of your key priorities for this role was to improve the commercial viability of the festival. How did you go about doing that?
Well, I went shooting out of the traps like a greyhound. I went at it hard, and I used everything I learned in 25 years in the concert business. I mean, listen, if you read my CV, I'm probably the last man standing in terms of the big sponsorship stuff we did in 90s and 2000. So clearly, I mean, as I said to everyone, I didn't get the job based on my looks. I got the job because of probably the commercial requirement of having to find a substantial seven-figure sum. So we invested heavily in sponsorship and developing a new sponsorship channels for the festival. We developed a lot of commercial opportunities, like introducing more grandstands and more saleable opportunities to both domestic and international. We invested in merchandise. We invested in a charity scheme. Some of the stuff, I'm being honest, worked. Some of it didn't work. We've sort of leveled out now, and probably grandstands and sponsorship would be our primary source, and funding. I mean, we get some content funding from various different grant funding organisations. But we've been very strong. I mean, we've increased sponsorship by about 200-300%. If you believe those numbers, that we've done a robust job. But the challenge is we're competing against live music, we're competing against GAA, we're competing against IRFU, FAI. So we've got to stay current, we've got to stay attractive, and we've got to stay in touch with potential partners and sponsors and showcase the opportunities to be part of the National Day. And that's a challenge, but it's one we're up for.
Now, of course, you have developed an awful lot of contacts over the years. So was that network of any real value to you when you went out there looking to raise sponsorship for the festival?
Yeah, the ones that are still alive, yeah. Yes, absolutely. I mean, it was a huge, totally. I mean, I went straight into my Rolodex. Probably the first 6 or 7 sponsors that we brought on would have come from contacts in the past. I mean, we still have to deliver on the product, but we still have to deliver on something that was, LinkedIn, social media has been huge for us as well in terms of, we've had a couple of partnerships from people that I worked with maybe 30 years ago who I wouldn't necessarily have their number, but, they reached out. So I'd say 60 to 70% of the business we've done has come from contacts that I would have nurtured over the years and stayed in touch with.
And what results have you achieved since you took the helm of the festival?
Well, listen, this is the bit where I break into how great thou art, isn't it? I mean, listen, we've a huge team here. We've stabilised. I would like to think, and our board of directors would like to think, we've stabilised the business. The big result is we've stabilised stakeholder relations. So we've got all our investors and the government falls in DCC to believe and invest in what we're doing. We've a stable internal team in terms of creative outlook and an understanding of what we're trying to do. And commercially, we're growing every year. So, I mean, I think they're the major results.
And another key goal for you has been to improve the festival's sustainability efforts. How have you set out to achieve these improvements?
In small bite-sized pieces. I mean, sustainability is a whole world of, it's very difficult for us. We pop up and pop down in a day, in 2 days. We don't control the waste environment around us. So what we do is, I mean, listen, we're the ultimate sustainable event because there's no mechanically propelled floats or pageants or anything. It's all done by humans. So we are the Green Parade. I think what we've done, we engaged a company called Native Event to work on our carbon footprint, and we work on small sustainable wins every year. We do champion recycling. We champion, last year we had a number of campaigns, Trash Mammoth, which is a recycling of car parts, etc., to create a sculpture. Every can counts. Who we engaged with that collected all the cans around the city and then built some street art. So, yeah, I mean, I think, listen, it's like anything. Are we anywhere good enough in sustainability? No. Would I be disappointed at where we are? Not really, but we've a lot more to do. So it's trying to find. So I'm actually working with Native on this year to make sure that we keep we keep it moving.
So, Richard, as we look towards this year's St. Patrick's Festival, what can people expect?
Well, I always say bigger and better. This year, higher. We're going high. We are changing a lot of fabric. Of this year's theme is adventure, so we're really representing the adventurous spirit that lives inside us all, which is our defining symbol of Irishness. So we're going to really embrace adventure. There was a post-COVID event called Festival Quarter in Collins Park. We're taking that and we're moving that. We're going to reanimate the city. So we're going to bring, we're going to put a number of street stages, performance stages, and street performers around the city for 2 days. We're bringing back the legendary treasure hunt, which is going to kick off the festival on the Saturday morning, the Dublin City Treasure Hunt. And then it'll be 2 days of activity around the city and expect the unexpected. And our line is every street tells a different story. So we will literally have hundreds of performers all around the city. So to bring that sense of sort of city takeover, bring it back into the centre of the city. And to be honest with you, for everything that Dublin City has been through over the last couple of years, is give it a bit of a hug. And that's really what we're going to do this year. And then on the 17th is the parade. And then to finish the festival, we have the Tierney Moor, which we're moving to Marion Square. So, so it's full on wall-to-wall activity, which is great.
And Richard, finally, how can the business community get involved in the upcoming festival?
Just look at the website. We have a whole section on how to get involved. stpatrickfestival.ie. We have how to become a sponsor.
Well, if you've just tuned in, that was Richard Tierney, the CEO of the St. Patrick's Festival, and I hope that the festival will be another resounding success for Richard and the team.
Southeast Radio's Business Matters with Karl Fitzpatrick.